Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome back! Today we're going to have a bit of a play with some ledger paper and some napkins. And this idea was inspired in part by a video I saw the YouTube channel Shanuki Art, and she was having a play in, I think it's the new Dina Wakley ledger journal, and I thought, ooh, that's a cool idea for doing some pages. I should get out some of my antique ledger. So that's what I did. So I'm just gonna go through what I've got out right now and then get into the project. So I decided to see how well it would hold up if I just folded a piece of antique ledger that I got off of, I think, Etsy. And it's a little brittle along the fold line where I'd sew it into a signature. So I will probably put a piece of washi over that to keep it from falling apart. And then I decided I'd take just some of the ledger and some antique book page and do a few pages that are collaged. So we've got these. And I've scanned them and uploaded them to my Ko-fi shop, and they're available for you for free if you would like to download them and have your own copies of these collages. And then I just glued one of the pieces of antique ledger paper onto a piece of coffee dyed paper just to strengthen it, so that I hopefully won't have the breakage along the spine that it's starting to do here. But if need be, I can always reinforce it again with washi. And what I'm gonna do is put on part of the page a piece of napkin, because then you'll be able to see the ledger down below. Now, because these are actual real ledgers, there's a decent chance that there'll be some bleeding when I apply my wet glue to it, but I'm not too bothered by that. I'm gonna use Liquitex matte medium to apply my napkins. You can use glue stick, but what you need to keep in mind is you want to apply your glue to your paper, not to your napkin, because that'll just be a nightmare. Let's set these guys out off to the side. And I may do like two sides this way because they won't be together when it's folded and put into a signature. So let's start with this one and grab one of our napkins. Woo! Craft-a-lunch. I almost had things collapsing over here, and I'm not entirely sure that they're sturdy and aren't going to collapse. And all right, let's decide what we want to use first. That's not what I meant to do. Kind of wondering, that might look cool across the page. And I pick up my napkins off of eBay, because generally you can get like a couple napkins, like a couple of each design, for a couple dollars instead of having to buy a whole pack of decorative napkins when you only want a few of them. Now, napkins are multi-layered, so you're going to want to pull apart the layers. This one looks to be 3 layers and is separating already quite nicely. So that came apart quite easily. I'm gonna set aside these guys. I save to stamp collage on. Just trying to see, it's a little bigger than my page. So what I am gonna do, I'm gonna set this out of the way. I'm gonna grab a water brush that has water in it, because you can tear napkin, if you wet it, I'm just gonna do a line down the center and break these two pieces apart, and then kind of go like that, so I don't have quite as much of the white. And I'll probably take a little bit more of the white off before we glue it down. I just want to get a piece that'll be easier to work with. All right, so set that aside. And of course I've got a fan on me because it's stinking hot here. And so it's not cooperating great with my napkin. All right, let's bring our piece of ledger back over. That is gonna look so cool. All right, we are going to take some of this out so that more of the ledger shows and there's less that we're trying to glue down. Now you can use scissors to cut it out if you prefer. And we're gonna bring this over. I'm just trying to decide if my collaged pages are bigger widthwise than that ledger. And I'm gonna go with no, they're about the same size. All right. Let's go ahead and put it on here. And what I'm gonna do, actually let's leave it folded in half because I am going to glue it on to the edge there and then trim it off after it gets glued down. As I said, I'm using Liquitex matte medium, which comes in this bottle. And I'm gonna use one of these like silicone makeup brushes. And now that I'm looking at this, it's overlapping a little. So let's start in our bottom corner. Just add a bit of the matte medium and get our corner glued down. And then I'm going to put matte medium over top, which will hold our napkin down and help it go translucent. It's not going on straight. Why is it not straight? All right, we're gonna, probably because the ledger's probably not straight. Woo. All right, having the fan on really not helping with this. That's not up high enough. All right, let me turn the fan off because that is really not helping. Like, at all. Mostly, I'm just trying to make sure I get it straight to the edge. And I'm futzing with this so much, I've put rips in my napkin, which I think will be okay once I sort it out. All right, we're gonna set that piece aside. I'm gonna harvest sections out that I can from that and go grab the... grab our napkin back over, and yeah, don't have a fan at your side while you're trying to do something like this. It does not work well. That got stuck to my finger, and it's okay because you can hardly tell I messed up the flower. Excellent. Now you can tell. All right, it's close enough. We're gonna be very delicate over here and add more glue. The pink's running a little bit, but not so bad that I'm like, oh no, it's messing the thing up. We're gonna fold it in half just to make sure I don't go past the center. Although part of me thinks I should wrap it around because that will strengthen where I'm seeing some cracking. So you know what? Let's go ahead and do a wraparound. We put that on, but I'm gonna let this dry before I do the continuation of this napkin on this page. And any overhang that I don't like, I will trim off. You just need to be gentle as you're spreading out your glue. So that's the first one. For this one, we're gonna just take out the butterfly element and attach it. And again, I'm gonna separate my layers of my napkin. I never seem to have difficulty separating the layers, but if you are finding you're having trouble doing that, you can take a piece of tape to the white side of your napkin and go like this. Go like this. You can usually see, I have more trouble trying to do the tape thing. Lift up the pages away from the page. Oh, layers. Oi, I can talk today. Really, I can. Your layers away from the decorative layer. Be sure to do that because if you start gluing down underneath all of the layers, your top layer is not going to end up being stuck down. You're going to have glued down the bottom layers. All right, so I am gonna come in around this butterfly. If you don't have a water brush, you could just dip a brush in water for this part. Or again, you can just use scissors. And a tip if you're going to collage your own ledgery collage pages, when you get to the center area, you don't want to have the ends of papers right up against where you're going to fold because they're more likely to pull up then. So you want to make sure you have pieces that go nicely over your fold. So like when I was collaging these pages, before I started, I folded the page in half so I had an idea of where my half page mark was going to be. You kind of want to smooth, like for this one, since I'm not layering it down, like for that one, for the first one, I kind of was going from one side to the other. This one, I kind of laid it mostly all down. So in this instance, I want to smooth it out from the center to the edges. And if I didn't get enough underneath, I can go back in and squish a little underneath. Sure, I got the whole top of it coated because that's what causes the white area to disappear, is having a layer of glue on top and underneath. So there we go, we've got just the butterfly on there. I think I do want to do one on the other side as well. But I think this one I can do both sides at once. right, I'm gonna set this one aside and let it dry completely. For this next one, I want to grab the yellow butterflies out of this, because if you're new to my channel, I've been working on butterfly journals, and yeah, I suspect I'm making enough stuff for multiple journals, so that's why I say butterfly journals plural. But one of the journals I want to do is kind of a rainbow of color, and so each signature is going to have only 1 or 2 colors as their, you know, a red, pink signature, a yellow, an orange signature, a green, a blue, a purple, that kind of thing. So we're gonna harvest out of this napkin our yellow butterflies. Ooh, my antique book page, even though it wasn't on a seam, is not enjoying being creased there. So this one we're just gonna kind of place butterflies all over the page. I'm gonna let this dry, and once everybody's dry, we're gonna come back and there's another technique that was in that Shanuki art video that I want to give a try on these pages as well. So I'll be back. Okay, so our pages are all dried, and actually while I had the napkins out and my matte medium out, I did some guest checks and a bunch of library cards, which we'll play with in another video. But here are what our pages look like. That one, that goes that way. Okay. Now, what I want to do now is also do a little stenciling. Let's go ahead and open this up. Let me grab the stencils I want. And this is a Simon Says stamp stencil called Fanfare, and it's new to me. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take some paint, and this is, it's Mattints, and the color's Fern, and it should be translucent. And this is the first time I'm playing with these, so we're gonna see how this goes. I haven't even swatched them out yet. gonna grab a paintbrush. And put some on. And yes, I'm being a little haphazard because this is just step one of the process. I'm worried at this point that we're going to dry before I get to step two, which is putting my stencil down and taking a wet wipe. And what we're going to do is lift up the paint with the wet wipe. And I may have waited too long. This may not work out so great, hopefully. It's not going to totally ruin this page. Oh, that did not work at all because it was too dry. All right, let's try again. I think what I may do is just grab a little bit of the green and do some over the bottom on both sides. And am I on screen? I am. Okay, great. This time we're going to go on thicker and hope it works. And we've got our stuff ready this time. The idea is you set your stencil down, you use your wet wipe to pull paint through the stencil. It leaves the image behind. And you can't really see it on this. All right. I think we're gonna not try that again on this one and just leave it with the green Mattints. Kind of make it look like it's grass coming up from the bottom. And I'm gonna set this aside, let it dry. I'm gonna grab, let's just grab a piece of cardstock and try testing this out. I think the Mattints may be going on too thin for this technique, or this may not be a great stencil for it. Let me grab another stencil. Let's put that down and see what happens. That didn't work at all either. All right. I'm gonna grab a thing of acrylic paint and we're gonna try testing it out using that and see if that actually works. All right, let's try another test, this time using acrylic paint. And we'll put our stencil down. All right, I got a little bit showing, like, okay, so this is definitely a technique I'm gonna have to try playing around with some more. So what we're gonna do is something other than what I had planned. Let's grab this one. Let's decide on a stencil. All right, so I've grabbed Aall Create Cherry Drift. What I'm gonna do is put that there. Grab some tint, and this is the pink. Put it on my palette. And I'm gonna use the wet wipe. little brown, and this is Nutty. Eep. Probably not going to come out great because I kept shifting. And yeah, it didn't come out great. All right, I'm going to let this dry and probably come back in and try and do a little bit more stenciling on this one just to fix that up a bit. But I'm really thinking I should just call it quits because nothing seems to want to cooperate right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits. I think I'm going to say we attempted it and we had no success. So it's definitely something to keep working on. Now this looks all right because it's just, you know, got greenness at the bottom, which I kind of like. So I'm definitely happy with the Mattints. I'm glad I picked them up because I like how translucent they are so you can see what's going on underneath. I need to work on my stenciling with paint skills since I don't usually do that. But yeah, so we've got this page, which I think once that's dry, I will come back in, try and do a little bit more stenciling, clean it up a little bit. This one, this page, which I really like how these came out, and then this page. So yeah, I definitely say napkins on ledger paper for the win. Stenciling and paint, not so much. All right, so that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.